could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello, everyone. Today we're meeting Kelly Collins. She is the author of The Swipe Right Effect. Hello, Kelly. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Anna, thank you for having me.
So let's start a conversation by diving into your journey of becoming the person you are today. What led you to discover your true passion in life? How did it start for you?
Wow. Well, I think it's evolved over time, the passion part. But where I am right now began with a divorce. And in 2017, my 30-year marriage ended, and I sold my company, and my children were out of the house. So I kind of had this trifecta of change. And I ended up retiring and traveling for a year. And I wrote a book. And the book is about helping people who've been through a big life change. And it's pay it forward advice of all the things that people told me and taught me as I was recovering over those 3 years. And now my passion is to help other people who are going through big life changes, whether that's divorce or breakup or health or job change. I just really want to help people move through that process faster than I did. And so I've kind of compiled all the tools that I ended up using, and that's what ended up being my book.
That's great. And I see that you had a lot of challenges in your life, and that led you to discovering your own true voice, I would say. And then you also compiled interview with other individuals as well, right? So altogether, you have tools and tips on how to overcome certain challenges for other people. So if you could, I would say highlight maybe 3 or 5 different types of topics that you covered in your book, what would they be?
So so each chapter is an interview with a different friend, and we talk about the advice that they gave me. And I'll say, let's see, Allison in the book, everybody has they're anonymous. So I gave everybody a country music star name since I'm from Nashville. So I have to think, what was the anonymous name there? So Allison, I met her in Portugal, and we were both hiking there, and we got to know each other over a couple of weeks of hiking together. And one day she said to me, what if your, husband, my husband had an affair. And she said, well, what if all of this happened? The affair, the divorce, everything. What if that was so that you could go on and do something powerful? That you had to be released from that marriage and released from that situation so that you could go on and do even more than what you have done with your life. And I remember when she said that, I didn't like it. It challenged me in a deep way. And, but within a couple of months, I could see what was happening in my life. I could see how I was evolving and that opportunities were opening up. And it made me go back to think, because she said that to me then, I'm recognizing it now. And the other lesson she gave, which goes right along with that, when I asked her in the interview, what is one of the most powerful things that somebody has said to you? And she said that her best friend said to her, this will look different tomorrow. And this will look different next year. That nothing is permanent. And I think that really blended well with what she had asked me and how that rolled out for me. But I love that piece of advice, like, remember that this is temporary. that, life, no matter, even if you don't want life to change, it's going to change. So anytime you're in a tough spot, you can say to yourself, this is going to look different a year from now. This is going to look different a week from now. And if I make a choice right now, it'll look different tomorrow. So I just think that was a really powerful piece of advice, quite simple, really, to just think that and make that part of your thinking pattern. But it's very powerful to have that deep recognition within your soul that this is temporary.
Yes, and we all go through challenges, and also we have to look at them as opportunities to grow. It's always for you to learn from it, even though it could feel painful in the moment. But when you look back, you usually recognize what kind of lesson you were supposed to get out of it, because everything is actually for you, not against you. So life bring you like different type of situation, people, events that you need to go through in order to evolve. So if we're looking at the from different perspective as your evolution as a human being, or like your soul,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, that's what the purpose is. But of course we are usually kind of lost maybe in the moment, and then we don't see it, and we go through different types of emotions which usually kind of blind us from what's happening. But then we become stronger over time. As you just said, it will pass, and you will see that you will feel better a year, 3 years after that, and you will know why it happened. So with you recognizing that, that's a huge shift actually for everybody to know that it's temporary. Everything in life is temporary actually. So not that it's permanent, but the way we look at things, that's what matters, and how we perceive different situations, that's what matters.
That's true. I mean, it is in your perception, your perspective. And I think when you're looking through eyes filled with hope, or eyes filled with love instead of eyes filled with pain, or a heart filled with pain, then your entire world and all of those around you, your friends, your family, are better for it. I think it was hard for me during the time where I still had a lot of pain, which would manifest as anger. And it wouldn't be all the time. And so I would keep thinking, I'm fine, I'm better, I'm good. But my friend Loretta said, you still have anger. And I was like, no, I'm good. And she said, Kelly, I can see it. I can feel it. And you have always been a positive person. You have always been a loving person. There's still this bad energy in you, and you have to get it out and replace it with good energy. And that is called forgiveness. And so she really challenged me. And that was a really important step as well. And she asked me to, I was on a long drive, kind of driving from Nashville to Boston. And she said, well, you listen to The Secret on Audible, and just trust me. Just trust me on this. And I was like, okay, fine. Well, I went on my phone to download it, and it was already there. I'd already downloaded it, but never listened to it. And so, because it's something somewhere inside me knew I needed it. But so I did. I think I was in Maryland at the time visiting her, and the rest of the drive, I listened to that. And in that one of the chapters about forgiveness, it gave me the words I needed. And one of the things that I learned about forgiveness is it is a practice. It is not something you do once. It is something you have to practice over and over and over again. And if you do that, eventually one day, it's like you have wings. It's gone. You don't have to feel that anymore. And the words that I learned from The Secret were, I forgive you, I release you, I want you to be happy. And it was that I want you to be happy part was really difficult for me, but I had to realize that pain that I was somehow subconsciously or unconsciously holding on to was only mine. That resentment was only mine, and it was not hurting anyone else. And I was the only one who could get rid of it. And Loretta taught me that. And so I did. And within 6 weeks, I was able to actually look at my ex-husband and say, I forgive you. I release you. I want you to be happy. And I want to be happy now too, And so, and I think there's other people who have done, maybe that something wasn't done to them, or maybe they made a choice, then they need to say that to themselves. That's probably even more powerful to say those 12 words to yourself.
It is a very powerful practice for our own, I would say, self-love and compassion, and, to have that peace, to have that serenity, to have that feeling of joy and happiness. We have to release certain negative emotions that stuck inside and that preventing us from experiencing love or joy. So for us to recognize if it comes on the surface as anger or resentment, we have to find the reason why we're feeling this way, and come to the place where we can just make peace with that and accept what happened, no matter how painful it was. And again, not blaming anybody in that situation, but just accepting it and learning from it and releasing it and let it go. But it's hard to do, of course, especially when it's fresh and you still have certain emotions attached. But again, you're not doing it for anybody else but yourself, because that pain is usually self-inflicted pain. And you keep reliving it in your mind. You keep thinking those thoughts, and those thoughts, it's like on a loop. It's like negative thinking pattern that doesn't stop until you disrupt it. And you have to be the one who disrupt. And with us recognizing and catching ourselves in that negative cycle, we have to find a way to forgive ourselves for being in that situation, forgive the other person who intentionally or unintentionally did something to us, but just let it go. And with us doing that, our life could change dramatically. And that would be the most important thing that you can do to yourself. This is how you show self-love, because you're the only one who would care about yourself the most, nobody else. So we have to recognize that, and we have to prioritize our mental and physical health enough to do that for ourselves. Because sometimes we're stuck in that victim mindset and we blame others. And again, who is suffering in the end? It's us, right? With us blaming others, nothing could change. But if we take responsibility and do it for ourselves, that's where we see the change.
Right. Absolutely. And I think you touched on something really important, the self-love. And I think because I was in that, I had been betrayed, I could only see myself through those eyes, the eyes of someone who had been cheated on, looking in the mirror saying, what's wrong with me? Why did this? Why me? Why me? Why me? Why me? And it's a terrible rabbit hole to go down. And so that's, I had one, a dear friend, but she's also my sister-in-law. She gave me a bracelet when I first told her about the divorce. She showed up at my office later that day, and she had a gift for me. And the gift, I opened it up, and the gift was a bracelet, just a thin silver bracelet, and it said, "I am enough." And I immediately put it on, and I did not take it off for over a year. And I wore it, through my 500-mile hike in Spain. I wore it to every business meeting I went on. And it was just, and it was something I had to practice again. You have to practice loving yourself when you've been through something hard. And once you do, and you practice it and you practice it, and again, after you've done it for a while, it just becomes a natural thing. You look in the mirror and you smile at yourself because you know you're good. You know you're happy. You know you did all the hard work to get to where you are. But I think, you know, having a self-love mantra, I am enough, looking in the mirror saying, you are enough, you know, looking in the mirror saying, I love you, you know, feel happy with who that person is. When your emotional health absolutely controls your physical health. I mean, if you're not mentally happy and positive, your body is going to suffer. And so think about the cost of not loving yourself. It's a very high cost to pay. And so that's chapter 2. So
Wow. Well,
yeah.
that's very important aspect that you just touched upon, to always recognizing that we are enough, no matter what we did in the past, no matter you know, what other people did to us. Again, everything could happen to anybody, but we're not defined by those actions. You know, at any point of time, at this present moment, we could change. Only if we make that decision, if we make that choice, if we really deeply connect to ourselves and see how loving we are, how great we are, and, you know, we here for a reason, we have a purpose to serve, and we need to give ourselves compassion and love to become that best version who we meant to be, and not living in that past, in that fear or anxiety, but rather you know, create that type of environment where we can flourish. And
Right.
again, it starts with us. Nobody will do it for us. And we cannot put that responsibility upon other people because they are responsible for themselves. And usually in relationship, people start becoming codependent in a way because they expect in the other person to provide something for them that they cannot provide to themselves. And that's very, you know, it's not a good place to be, because if something happens, you feel like your life is ruined. And it shouldn't be this way. If you are enough, just as you are, if you are enough without anybody, you don't need anybody to feel happy, to feel loved, to feel like you are enough here right now. If you don't need anybody, but you choose to be with another person just because you both are, you know, independent individual that grown together, and you can maybe support another person in that growth, but not because you need that person in order to feel enough. That's
Right.
not what you need. And if you're in that place and you start a relationship with a different, I would say, intention, that's where you see it's gonna grow into more beautiful thing that it could be, right? And you will feel happier as a result after that, but not because you needed that person to feel full or complete. You complete on your own. So this is something important for people to recognize, and not feeling that something is wrong with them or they damage in any way. Because again, you're not defined by your past. You don't have to live in your past. It's only for you to take lessons from all those experiences and to become better version of who you can be, but not really stuck in relieving those type of experiences, especially if they were painful. So now you're a different person. You're not that person anymore. And you can be whoever you choose to be. It's up to you.
Right. And that is my mission, is to help people get to the other side. I know how difficult it is. I have empathy for people who are feeling stuck. And, but it takes you using your power to get better, to make a difference, to get happy. And your power is in your choice. If you sit there and do nothing and you stay in your misery, you are making a choice by doing nothing. I suggest that it's better to take one step forward. Use that power you have to make a choice to get happy. And it's just one step at a time, one practice at a time. And you will get there, because everything is temporary. And, you can just tie it. You can see it once you're on the other side and you've been through it and you're happy again, and you realize your life is actually better than it ever has been, because you are now this stronger, more loving, empathetic, and kind because of what you've been through. And then that's what you're going to attract into your life. You already have your self-love. You're already feeling good about your life. So if that's what you're putting out into the world, that's what you're going to get back from other people, whether that's a romantic relationship or friendships and family and children. But Catherine Woodward Thomas, in Calling in the One, she says, you need to be who you want to attract. Take those 5 principles of who you want to date. Now you go be those things. Mine are empathy, kindness, love of travel. It's very important to me. So I put that out into the world. I talk about these things. And I'm open to the different possibilities. And so I think, if you really start thinking about what do you want from other people, then you need to start using your choices and using your power to move towards being that yourself.
Definitely. And a lot of people are searching for something that they think it's missing, but rather we should focus on giving out something that we want to attract. So it's all about energy. And we need to focus to cultivate certain type of emotions and skills, practices that would give us that mindset and that attitude towards life and other people, where we just emit good emotions, and we are always in a state of grace and joy and happiness. And when we interact with others, we have to be mindful, because those people, they going through, they have their own journey, and we have to be compassionate and empathetic with them too. We don't know what's happening in their life, but being that person who always kind and compassionate, that's how we show other people that it's possible for them too. And this is how they learn from you, by you showing as an example, not expecting somebody else to do it for you, but rather show it. You have to show it that this is who you are, this is how you live, and this is what normal for you. And it has to be normalized in this society where we know that our own well-being is of a priority. So we have to focus on developing ourselves first, because without being fully balanced, we cannot possibly give to others. And a lot of people would say it's selfish, but it's not true.
No.
Self-love is not being selfish. It's actually essential for every one of us.
Yeah, I think a lot of women, especially, and I definitely know men who do it, but I call it the hero complex. I've read it and heard it called a lot of different things. But I definitely had the hero complex where I felt like everything wasn't going to be okay unless I was helping or fixing or, hugging or whatever it was. I felt like whether it was in my business that I owned or whether it was as a mother or a wife, I felt like I always had to be the hero. And as a friend, I mean, if, somebody's sharing something with me, I wanted to help them fix it. I wanted to insert myself into the situation. And I think it's really important to understand, yes, you need to be good and be kind and be supportive and be loving, but, and go do good things, but you don't have to insert yourself into a situation. Instead, take all of that energy and work inward. And as you take, you're not being a hero to everybody else, you're being a hero to yourself. And that's when you actually become something much better and much greater that the world needs. The world doesn't need you to save it. The world needs you to save yourself. And then they will follow suit. And I hope that makes sense. I mean,
No, definitely. And we always trying to fix others, help others, but sometimes at our own expense, and we don't recognize that. But only if we focus on developing ourselves first and healing the wounds that we have and become that version where we are balanced and, just in a state of well-being overall, mentally, physically. And we have that self-love that's overflown, and then we can share. And then with our interactions with others, people would feel it as type of energy that we're emitting. And that could also be a healing force for them. So not trying to prevent ourselves of, getting that love, but give it to others. But first, give it to ourselves to the point where we feel overflown with it. And from that place, we can serve better. We can provide more powerful messages to others and also be supportive. And again, without us really getting in the way of ourselves, but letting ourselves to heal and let go of what's no longer serving us and recognizing what really stops us from having that peace of mind. What is that block is that we can start working on today and bring ourselves to the place where we really at peace with everything. We just need to accept everything that we are, everything that we have, because what we have now is of our own creation. We are the one created that, even without us knowing that, but that's what happened. And if we don't like what we have, we need to accept it first and take responsibility, and then we have power to change it. A lot of people are afraid of being responsible, but actually that's what will give you power. You don't want to be in a victim mindset, because in the end of the day, if you're going to blame others, nothing will change. But if you want your life to be better, you have to be the one changing it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that letting go of that resentment, letting go, not letting that pain have power over you anymore is when you can start making the decisions that truly guide your life towards your purpose. After I retired, 3 years after I sold my business, I retired, and I basically started a complete new life. I sold my house. I gave away everything in it. The kids took what they wanted, and what they didn't want, I gave away. And then I went on this travel sabbatical, and this sabbatical was, and solo travel is, to me, I highly, highly recommend solo travel. Men and women, but especially women who've already raised their kids and they've not done things for themselves ever, but most likely. But if you can do something, even if it's just go camping or, go on a quick weekend hiking trip or something, but that getting away and having time to work on myself led me down this path of healing, complete empowerment, to the point where now I want to coach people through this process that I've gone through. I had done coaching before as a publisher. I helped small independent publishers grow their business, but I never could have foreseen this book that I wrote that turned into a workbook that's turned into a coaching practice. But all of that happened because I worked on myself and I made these choices that empowered me. But first it was, I had to be my own hero and do what would help me get forward. And, sometimes you just can't even foresee the beautiful things that are coming your way. It's an amazing process to walk through.
Right. And we have to recognize that everything is happening for us. And as we make choices and take that action, we see the support along the way. The right people will come, right opportunities. It's just the way it is. And we have to be open to it and we have to embrace it and see how it could evolve into something bigger once we start feeling better and see that type of fulfillment and joy. We stepping in our own purpose, and that's how we serve others. And with you recognizing that and creating that book as a tool for others to learn from, and that's how your coaching practice evolved as well. And again, everything is happening for a reason. It's no coincidences here. It's just us being, kind of like we have to listen, we have to watch what's happening around us. We have to be in the moment, actually. We have to be in present. With us escaping present moment, it's just, we not recognizing what's happening, because that's where the power is, here, right now. And the more present we are, the more we are clear on that path and the steps that we need to take forward in order to get to that goal that we're trying to achieve. And again, it could be the idea that we have in mind, but with our intention, everything will conspire for us to get there. Maybe even in a different way, with a different situation, and could be something bigger that we even expected. Right. And this is how it usually is, because we are here to do great things. And with us not loving ourselves enough, we are playing it smaller, we're not seeing how great we could be. And that's something important for us to notice and to understand, that we have to be open to whatever comes our way, and we have to be ready to embrace it and to step into it, and to know that we are supported with a bigger force, bigger than us, because it's not just our physical body here. We're more than that. And recognizes our own nature and source of coming here. We know that, no matter what happening to us, we will still find a way to recover from it, to heal, and to become stronger.
Yeah, I think that, and you're, kind of tapping into, basically having a vision for yourself too. There's this balance that you have to have of creating a vision for yourself, so that, you're basically asking the universe, communicating with the universe, telling the universe, this is what I want. This is where I want to go. This is who I want to be with. This is what I want to be doing. And this is when I want to do it. And you create that vision. And as you go forward into that vision, you also have to be open to something that might come, an opportunity that might come in, a person that's going to say something that's going to make a difference in your life. And that's how this book happened. I made a vision for myself. I stepped forward into that life, that new life, and I just kept taking one step in front of another. And literally the book is what people said to me that changed my life. And so, but I had to be open to hear it. I had to be, even when I wasn't ready, I had to be accepting that someone was saying it to me in love, and that this was going to be something that would make sense later. Like, I may not be able to take it right now, but I registered it and I held on to it because I knew it was delivered with love. And so I think, I think that being open, like you said, is really one of the most important things on the go forward, but being accepting of opportunities and love and kindness that people want to give you. If you've got a guard up, a guard of pain or anger or trying to protect yourself, never wanting to be hurt again, ever, you're just going to stay hurting yourself. So being open and accepting is really, really crucial in the recovery process.
And I'm so glad we had that conversation today. Thank you so much for your thoughts and wisdom. And for those who would like to connect with you, how can they find you?
My website is ckcollins.co. And I also want to offer, for anybody who wants to read the first chapter free, I have that available. You can find that on my website, but you can also go to swiperightchapter.com. And then you have the preface and chapter 1 and the first empowerment practice from my book, which is The Swipe Right Effect, The Power to Get Unstuck.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And in closing, what would you like to say to our listeners? So thoughts for today so they can focus on.
I want everybody to understand that they have power. We all have power, and that power is in the choice. So choose to do good for yourself, choose to be happy, choose to take that first step towards your new life, and you will be happy.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoy your day. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.